Hello, everybody. Welcome to Rorschach Journal, Tulsa's only Watchmen podcast. For now. It'll happen one of these days. I'm Landry Miller, and I'm joined, as always, by the co-host with the co-most, Wade McFarland.
Ah, thank you for that intro.
Yeah, well, you know.
The co-host with the co-most. Yeah.
That's right.
All right.
Wade, it finally happened.
We're here. Episode 1.
We did it.
After all this waiting and those cringy trailer breakdowns that we did,
man.
that half of it turned out to be nonsense.
Yes.
We're actually here and can make some sense out of things.
We made a lot of theories in that one.
We said a lot of passionate things.
That ended up not really mattering.
There's still a couple I'm sticking by.
A couple.
Yeah.
Okay. A couple. Now, Wade, just in case, because this is probably going to be the first episode a lot of people tune into of our podcast.
Yeah, it's the first episode of the show. First breakdown here, the main bulk of what we're here to do.
That's right. So do you want to kind of give a little quick rundown of who you are, just so people know why they should respect you?
Well, there's no reasons for that. But yeah, Wade McFarland here, the stand-up comic, had a brief career as a professional wrestler.
Ooh.
TV show, movie, and explainer podcast enthusiast here.
Well, some would say expert.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. I would call you an expert.
That counts as some.
Well, you're welcome. And then, and I'm Landry Miller. I'm also a comedian.
Weird.
Yeah, I wonder if that's how we know each other.
Maybe.
I don't want to go into that. And then I also am a writer, and I've written for shows on Netflix and TBS and Comedy Central. And those are my credits.
Are you not claiming Ellen anymore?
Oh, and CBS.
President?
Yeah, that's what it was. So, I've spent some time in writers' rooms, spent some time writing for television, and but when it comes to Watchmen, I have no idea what I'm talking about.
And that's the great thing about what we're doing here, is I've been doing the deep dive into the classic literature and source material, and combing the Reddits and the message boards, having all that fun here, so that we can provide like a kind of a part of one of my favorite things about Explainer podcast is when someone is just watching the show and someone has done the deep dive. So that way it's, not like we're talking down to the listener. It's just, no, I'm explaining this to my friend Landry here as he's watching the show.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't. I went into this I went into this not knowing a single thing about Watchmen. Never watched the movie, read the comics, nothing. None of the porn parodies, none of it. So watching this has been, I feel like I've walked into a giant world that I don't fully understand, but it's still super enjoyable.
But that's what we're here to do, is break it down and try to make sense of this. This is a good first episode here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's titled, It's Summertime and We're Running Out of Ice, which is an Oklahoma lyric. I looked
what song is that from?
That is, I believe that's from the Poor Judd is Dead, which we hear at the end. Yeah. That's kind of the lyric that comes on as the credits roll.
Should we tell people there's going to be spoilers?
Oh, well, episode? Yeah, it's an explainer podcast, so you should probably watch it first.
Yeah, maybe so. So this one is written by...
Yeah, this one was written by Damon Lindelof, the showrunner of this, just fresh off of Leftovers on HBO.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
That just finished up, and he went right back at it with this Watchmen.
And then he just wrote it and was like showrunner. He didn't direct it. Is that right?
No, it was actually, this episode was directed by Nicole Castle, who's also one of the executive producers, and she's on she's listed as director on a couple of the episodes. I think she's going to be kind of like the Jack Bender was for Lost.
Yeah.
It's kind of like producer / director, kind of like one step down on the totem pole. Kind of like an unspoken, unofficial co-showrunner.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
So those are kind of just the quick rundown of what the episode is. First episode, and we've established this previously, but people haven't listened to it. This is the first episode, but the season is written to be...
It's 9 episodes, and they've written it, so this will kind of be a self-sustaining story, they said. So there won't be any like cliffhangers or anything to leave us... waiting for when this gets picked up for season 2 and it takes 2.5 years to film.
Exactly.
We'll have a satisfying story here to tide us over.
All right, let's go right into it. I don't want to waste any more time.
Let's get into it.
I can't wait.
This was, I do want to get,
okay,
what did you think about the episode?
I thought it was really solid. I watched it a couple times, 2.5 times, and ran out of time today. Supposed to watch it a third time today. And I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
The story was solid. It caught me.
I thought it was
like
super fast paced.
Want to see the next episode?
We never really rested.
True. Yeah.
I was blown away by Regina King. I had some doubts before, but like I was telling you earlier, I loved her look, and like she looks like a 48-year-old mom, and then when she gets all sister nighted up, she looks like a badass. Like it totally works, and I love the switching back and forth. You know?
Yes. Oh yeah. It's so good. I'm
super happy though that we did do this preparing and deep dive there, because I would be a tad confused watching it.
Yeah.
But that's what we're here to do.
That's what we're here to do.
It's cleared up, so let's get going, man.
Yeah. So we start off 1921, Tulsa.
Yeah, our hometown. We should have established that too. Is yeah.
By the way,
we are from Tulsa,
and we currently
reside.
There.
I googled it after the episode. 1.6 miles from the Greenwood Cultural Center.
Oh, I live like 0.3 miles.
Oh, nice.
So I guess I win.
I didn't know you were gonna fucking one up me. All right. But yes, this is like literally. We open with something that happened in our own backyard.
Right, and also just to be clear up front, this was something that even in Tulsa is not really taught widely.
No.
This is not an event that's covered very
widely. It was not in our public
schools.
I went to Tulsa public schools, and we didn't discuss this. But and we're also gonna we have a little deep dive breakdown segment later on in the show, and we're gonna really dive into the Tulsa Race Riots, this event that happened right in our own backyards here.
That's right.
But yeah, it opens. There's this young boy watching a Bass Reeves film.
As I say, a Bass Reeves film.
Yeah, and Bass Reeves, a real person. He was called the Oklahoma Justice one, the little movie within the movie that they were watching there. I think he born and died in Arkansas, but he did work in the Oklahoma Territory. Had over like 3,000 arrests.
Wow.
Yeah, and so the young boy with a very a great prosthetic Louis Gossett mole on his cheek is watching this film here while the sirens and explosions begin to take over.
And I believe it's his mother who's playing the musical accompaniment to the movie, which is amazing.
And that theater obviously makes it, because later in the episode,
that's where Oklahoma.
Sister Night drives by it.
Oh, I thought that's maybe where Oklahoma was.
Maybe.
I made a lot of connections here.
Yeah.
That may not have existed. So also, just for the record, the streets of Tulsa that they did, it actually looked very accurate.
Yeah, it really did.
Every picture I've ever seen of the Tulsa streets at that time and Tulsa streets now, pretty close.
Yeah.
pretty darn close. So that was impressive.
Yeah. In that film, it also kind of had like a reverse Birth of the Nation vibe.
Yes, it did.
Kind of had something.
Yes, it did.
Yeah, he was wearing a hood. There was lots of theatrics. It was a movie. I'm sure it was some dramatizations of Bass Reeves' arrest.
Yeah, so there's a ton of stuff happening, And
then, after the movie, they get, after the explosions kind of take over that scene, they run outside, and we are mid-riot, 1921 of the Race Massacre there.
Yeah. There's people being shot, and there's places being set on fire. There's a newspaper. What was the headline on
there? Was a newspaper
that they really caught on.
Yeah,
for a second there.
That was actually something that was in an actual newspaper in Tulsa. There.
Okay.
Yeah, it was. There was two main headlines in newspapers that came out that day that started the race riots, and the one they showed in the show was. To lynch Negro tonight. Not very subtle.
No, not at all. Yeah.
And that was one of the main sparks of the race riots was those headlines, along with another one that was called "Nab Negro for Attacking Girl in Elevator." Oh. They loved those cringy alliterations even back then. Nab Negro.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. And of course, we'll talk about that later in the breakdown. So the newspaper, which is not exactly. I mean, it's inaccurate to what actually was said on the newspaper.
Yeah, that was an actual headline.
It was, very uncomfortable. And so
they escape in a car. There's some kind of little scuffle of the not enough seats. There's a very Titanic, women and children first type situation.
Women and children first into the box on the back of the car, right?
And the kid with the Louis Gossett mole gets
in,
escapes.
And the paper.
He wakes up out of this little basket there, and everybody appears to be murdered except a baby.
A little baby.
I'm excited to find out who this
that
baby is.
Because I thought the same thing. I was like, why would they show us this baby?
It's a very like Superman-y type thing,
yes,
like wrapping him in the American flag and such.
Yes.
And another kind of like a historical tie. During the race riots, there was lots of kind of refugees, especially young children like that fled to the fairgrounds a couple miles away.
Oh,
they were held up to weeks. Parents thought they were dead or missing. Were they stoked out at the fairgrounds? And he has the paper on him that says "Protect this boy."
Yeah.
So I'm sure we'll see the significance of that, other than to signal to us later that Louis Gossett Jr. also has the same mole and the same paper.
I hope it has more significance than just that this is the same person.
Yeah. Protect this boy. What is the boy special? I know.
Right.
He's listed as Reeves. Like, I don't know if anybody ever addresses him that, but if I watch it with subtitles sometimes to get those little clues.
Yeah.
His when he's speaking, it says Reeves is speaking. He was watching the Bass Reeves film. So I'm guessing, a descendant of Bass Reeves.
That would be my guess.
Yeah. A little fun fact, the paper that the Protect This Boy was written on was actually on the other side is a World War I propaganda leaflet from Germany, which is Negro soldiers, if they... I don't want to say that word, but it's what's written on the thing.
What's written on there.
Yeah, I'm reading... kind of what it says. If they surrender, there would be promised food and board. Oh. So that was just some propaganda that they would, leaflets that they would spread out to those communities. I don't know if that'll have any significance or if that was just a cool nod, but it's a choice.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So all that's happening, he saves the baby, he walks away
and then we get the
sweet,
sweet title screen.
Yeah.
I did not expect that. I was like, ooh, that's
either.
cool.
The things they're doing with this font is amazing. Just out in the middle and like in the middle of stuff happening and
then we see it's summertime and the ice is melting, which is from the Poor Judd is Dead song, and I think that's referring to keeping his body cold.
I think so too.
Because it was the song was sung during his funeral during the play, and obviously the Poor Judd is Dead song references our chief of police Judd Crawford that we'll meet later.
Oh,
I noticed that little
not
so subtle nod.
Yeah, not so subtle at all.
But after that, sweet title pop up there, we go right to. There was no
2019.
I don't know if we'll not get like an opening credit thing, or if we're just gonna go straight to the awesome font thing in the middle of the scene.
Font, that's the.
And then okay, that's the opening.
I don't. Maybe they just didn't want to slow down for this one.
Yeah, because it was very fast paced, and so we went right from that right into this traffic stop. Some redneck, blowing down a little Tulsa road, listening to some Future.
Yeah.
As you do.
I love it because they went from like this 1921, like with this wagon style car, and then they're just hard cut to like a battery.
He has an electric pickup truck. I didn't notice on my first watch through. I did not notice all the electric sounds coming from the cars. I don't know how I feel about that because there are some weird. like badass, like when Sister Night pulls out in her car there and it's like it's like something about the
not as
I'm
cool.
not the manliest of man, but something about the engine rev. I missed that a little bit.
Something there. Yeah.
But we see they're driving the electric cars, obviously from that's Dr. Manhattan engineered vehicles for a while, so they ran on mostly electronics.
That.
So that's a little nod to the books there.
I love that. And then this scene, so he gets pulled over by a cop, and we see the first instance of the cops wearing the
yellow masks. Yeah.
Which, you know what I loved about the scene was that not knowing anything about this universe is you were going, wait, I don't know who's like the good guy or the bad guy.
Yeah.
The way they played it was so well done because you were like, who am I supposed to be? Am I on the side of the police in this or am I not? Like, and it was so good, that tension building.
The interaction between them whenever he pulls out the glove, pulls down the glove box, and he also like states I'm going to reach in my glove box now. So this implies that there's a history of some police gun violence or something like that.
Oh yeah, and also like one of the first things he says is like I am recording this. Like, do you consent and all that kind of stuff? And he says the time and the date. Oh, it's good.
Yeah, it's very formal. And then he opens the glove box and we see the Rorschach masks.
Yeah.
And
that was terrifying.
Yeah. I also loved the police officer kept like his intimidating demeanor. And then when he gets back to his car there and takes off the mask, like it's instant, like that was, chef's kiss. Like, wow.
So
like
good.
it was like they released the valve for me as the viewer too. It's like, I don't know what's going to happen. And like, then he gets to the car and like, oh, okay, he's freaking out too. That's good.
Yeah, thank God.
And then we see him to call in to authorize, I guess in this world, the weapons the police use are holstered.
Yeah.
Until they have to call into a superior who's ever working the desk that night has to release, I guess, Panda.
Panda and something.
Which is a literal man in a panda.
Yes.
Head.
And I love it because when they go, oh, it's only Panda, he's like, oh.
Is there anybody else?
Which is amazing. And then, of course, so they go through the questionnaire of what allows them to unlock them.
Panda's all about the bureaucracy, red tape there.
Yeah. It's a little
which is probably why he didn't want to go through Panda. And after some like awesome like tension building moments there, like you can't release it, you can't really. Finally, the gun gets out, and then boom.
Yeah.
It's too late. The redneck with the easy to identify hat that'll come back into play later, much like Louis Gossett's prosthetic mole. And he tosses in the lettuce that he said he was carrying earlier, like, hey, asshole, like I was telling the truth. Or was he? But I just like that little touch there.
Oh, yeah, that was fantastic. The gun getting stuck was it was
a super tense scene.
Super tense. Yeah, from start to finish, that whole thing. And then I love it because they go right from that into Oklahoma.
Just really cheesing it up there.
Yes.
Just a bunch of people in Tulsa sitting around watching the Oklahoma play, as we do every Friday.
That's all I do.
Yeah. Have you ever seen Oklahoma live?
Yeah, I was in.
I haven't. You've been.
I was just an ensemble.
Okay, like
but
was
it
in like a high
college.
school play, a college play?
Yeah, so it's good.
Okay, I never had these. I don't think I've ever seen the play performed live.
It is far too long.
It's problematic. It's long. It's kind of boring.
That too. Well, they've edited it since then.
Yeah,
we do revised versions now.
Yeah, and they had a revised version here. They referred to it as Black Oklahoma, like,
and it was delightful.
And they also have a currently right now the version of Oklahoma does have a multicultural cast, and they've changed some things around in it too. I think they've written out the super problematic snake oil salesman.
Good. That's for the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we go right into that, and yeah, it's how did you describe it? It's like
it's Hamilton meets Oklahoma. Yeah.
So anyway, and then that's where we first see the police chief.
Yeah, that's where we get the police chief named Judd watching lots of Oklahoma
with two empty seats next to him, which stood out to me the first time I watched it. I was like, what's happening here?
That was obviously the Abram family. Was missing there because the old babysitter didn't come through.
Oh, babysitter.
Yeah, but he gets the page. No cell phones in this universe.
I never noticed that.
Yeah.
I was like, that would have made it way easier to do everything.
He gets a lot of information from his pager, though. Like,
That's
he'll like
true.
pull it in there.
It does have like full text on it.
He has like full stories to tell his wife when he needs to get out of the room. It's like, you just glanced at your pager, man.
Yeah, what do you know?
Yeah, and he gets the message. I think it was Little Bighorn, which is the reference to the Custer's Last Stand there, which also featured the 7th Cavalry. So I think that's kind of a reference for a 7th Cavalry violence act or something.
That's great.
Which is, I guess they were talking about the traffic stop there. And then we see old Don Johnson, Judd Crawford, police chief, get whisked away to the hospital where this officer who's been shot is staying at. Really super into getting into his uniform.
Yes.
He does it like 3 times throughout the episode. Like, I got to change clothes. Yeah. He was at a
plate. Is my uniform here?
And it was great dress. Like,
he was dressed just fine.
But no, he insisted on changing his uniform. It's not like he's the only one whose face is always shown. Like, so why is he always into his uniform?
You're fine. However you want to go. Yeah. So he gets to the hospital, and that's where we get the tidbits of like, are we running background checks and whatever on all the nurses and staff that have seen who this?
Yeah, they maintain and protect their identity at all times. We also see Looking Glass is in there waiting with him. With
half mask.
Yeah, he asked him to pull it down so that he could use it as a mirror. I love that little touch.
So hard at that.
Yeah.
So
I love those two together, Judd Crawford and Looking Glass in there. They had the quips about the salad and the romaine when he was telling him about what happened.
Any croutons?
Yeah.
No, not that I could ascertain.
He kept that question professional, you know?
Yes, I love it. So then he had to go meet with the wife of the
It's a real
of the
brief
police
scene.
officer.
I liked it.
It was very quick, but it was
We
was
just
great.
established that it was just to kind of show that how much they protect the police
Right.
identity. It's like, oh man, this guy had a whole backstory. No one
Right.
knew that he was a police officer. And we also learned that the wife says he really liked you. So that's
yeah. So it sounds like he is respected, fairly respected.
yeah, he's
in the police
respected
force.
amongst his the other police officers
Thank
of the
God.
Tulsa police force.
So we go through that, and we learn that they all have excuses for what they're doing when they're actually.
It was very
on shift.
elaborate and
It's
well
great.
played out.
Oh,
It
yeah.
reminded me of like the Breaking Bad whenever they have to go hide their identities and they quiz them
yes.
afterwards, like what's your social security number? What's your
Yeah.
They all
Oh,
had
that's so
that
good.
backstory ready to go.
And then of course we just go right into this classroom to these kids and all these interesting posters.
Yeah, that was like the most exposition dump
Oh,
scene
yeah.
ever. We walk in, there's a 24/7 stream of Dr. Manhattan on Mars
So
where he's building a castle and destroying it.
yes.
I made
news.
Yeah, it's like a
They,
constant
have a-
24/7 feed. I
Yeah.
made in one of the first trailer breakdown a very irresponsible theory I wasn't proud of, that he's working on this castle and it looks a lot like the castle Ozymandias is in. And I was like, that's dumb. Shouldn't have said that out loud. And then hours after the episode, that was one of the main theories being thrown around. I was like, God. But so keeping that one alive. It's also in the weeks to come
Yes.
little clips.
Yeah,
The
so-
little kid is playing with the same exact castle on his little erector set there. So maybe something is up with his castle. Not too sure though.
Yeah, not too sure.
And
Yeah,
in
I
the
thought that was very
classroom,
interesting.
Yeah, there's lots of quick exposition stuff on the walls there. Squid anatomies of the
Yes.
squid rain. We saw the
the
list of
presidents.
presidents with Nixon he served till 92.
Right.
And then Robert Redford taking off. He's been serving since 92.
Yes. Yeah. Which is great that they just have that in the background like that.
Yeah, and I know that
So
was
good.
probably one of the main points of the show in world building is that Lindelof wanted to show what the world would be like 30 years under a super liberal and elite rich Democrat. What would that do to the world?
Yeah. And turns out they have career day now.
Yeah.
When was the last time anyone had career day at a school? So I guess it's working. So so she's in there.
Giving a little speech about how she makes these cookies that
Yeah,
she learned
these-
to make when she was born in Vietnam before it was a state.
Right.
I have
Which-
some.
The way they set up that dialogue to me was kind of clunky. 'Cause
It
I
was
like,
very-
Was that before or after it was a state? And you're like,
No kid gave
"We
a
got
shit."
it.
Yeah, they just had to say it.
Yeah.
I also another irresponsible theory. I'm gonna say it out loud.
Let's hear it.
We touched on this before in one of the trailer breakdowns that the comedian and Manhattan, they both they're the reason why we won the Vietnam War, and it became a state. And while the comedian was there, he fathered a child there. He killed the mother. So this is, and it was one of the problems after the Vietnam War of the Poppy Song. All the soldiers there fathered a lot of children and then
Right.
bounced after the war, and they
Yeah.
were just run amok with
running.
orphans.
Yeah.
We never get a story about Sister Knight's parents, so I don't know. Irresponsible theory.
Irresponsible theory.
Throwing that out.
but
She
it's
might
out there.
be.
But if that's the case, you heard it here first.
I'm just putting that out there
Yeah,
in case
yeah.
that pays off later.
And then of course they go into this the story of that is obviously fictional in some way, of where she then moved to Tulsa, where she continued to be a police officer and then retired.
Yeah, she
But we
retired
know that's not the
after.
case.
We know she's not retired, but she also drops the White Knight.
Knight.
That's very important. I thought I heard later in the episode that the White Knight was 3 years ago. I'm not
I
sure.
think I had heard that too,
Yeah.
or something like that.
The only thing that's making me not confident that it was 3 years ago is the adopted children and new husband. Where did they play in? Were they around before and after the White? I believe she said the husband and children were murdered, and then we are with a
she
whole
did
new
say
set. 3 years is a quick time.
For that, also that kid that's definitely in like 6th grade.
Yeah, well, he's obviously adopted.
Yeah. And then which leads into Redfordations.
Redfordations. I love. There's a lot of like old timey like 10th grade history textbook talk.
I love it.
Like we hear about the Nixonvilles, which is obviously like a Hooverville reference.
Yeah,
and here we have the Redfordations, which I suppose would be reparations from President Redford. Again, the super liberal president.
Yeah.
They gave this kid a super hick accent and let him know he's, probably one of the 7th Cavalry children. Like, did you get that from your Redfordations?
Oh, Tommy.
And Tommy, yeah.
Fucking Tommy.
Little did he know Sister Knight's child was over there.
Just
he
ready
loves
to go.
punching some Nazis. Yeah.
Yeah, that was fantastic. And then
and that's actually the reparations was one of the inspirations of the show. It was an Atlantic article. I think it came out in 2014 that proposed like, hey, before they're dead, let's give the descendants of and the few remaining Tulsa Race the Tulsa Race Massacre survivors some reparations.
Yeah.
And that was one of the premises that sprang forth the show.
Wow, I love that. And then, of course, then this is where we move into the Squid Rain?
Yeah, it's immediately after they leave the classroom, after Tommy gets what he fucking deserves.
Really, he got
They're
it.
riding in the car, and all of a sudden the horn starts, and they're raining squids. I love, like, how natural everyone was with it. They know the smell. Tommy's like...
Yes.
It's like, it stinks out here. It's like, well, your nose isn't that broken.
Yeah,
you can still smell it. She has a squid squeegee ready to go.
Ready.
By the time they get to the house, there's a squid cleanup street sweeper
with
driving
a little
through.
icon on it.
Yeah, it's great. It's its own like little government entity.
Yeah, squid cleanup.
Yeah, there's a squid crew. That's
Squid crew.
It's part of the city jobs.
I also love that line of where it was like, where she's like, no, he's not racist, but he's off to a good start. She has great lines in this show, by the way.
Oh yeah.
So the squeegee, they go home, and the little girl.
The girl's already like,
this.
yeah. Everybody knows the drill.
Yeah.
It's just part of their day-to-day life. I guess the squid rain would have to be after the squid attack in New York. I'm thinking that maybe they maintain the squid rain because people would move on. This happened 30 years ago. The squid attack in '85.
Yeah.
So to kind of maintain that fear and control, they somehow have engineered regular squid precipitation.
I guess so.
Yeah, I don't know
I don't have any idea about the squid history, so I'm just like, you're probably right.
You have to be concerned about how that would affect our ecosystem.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I'm sure that there are some higher ups, deep state at the squid cleanup crew that maybe they're recycling squid. That's just a lot of squids.
Gotta be.
Yeah.
A lot of squid life lost.
That can't be good for the crops.
No. Oh yeah, no, for sure.
There has to be squid insurance. It's a whole thing.
I hope we get to do an entire deep dive on squid rain.
I'm sure we will
in the future.
Yeah.
Okay,
but I think that's the squid rain is something used to like maintain the fear and control that was caused from the initial squid attack in New York in 1985.
Got it. Don't know what that means still. Okay, so then that's when she finds out about Little Bighorn on the pager, and
she goes
real pissed.
Yeah, real pissed because she missed that phone call.
Yeah,
and heads straight over to her bakery on the streets of Tulsa.
Yes,
where Louis Gossett Jr.
Yes.
Reeves is waiting in his wheelchair and asks her, "Do you think I can lift 200 pounds?" Which I don't know what that meant. If that was him like trying to like
right, like I don't know what it meant.
He was obviously referring to the lynching
happen
at the end.
Right, obviously had to do with that.
But he knows
was it
who she is. She knows he's a superhero, and so if he knew this would happen, he'd just be like, "Hey, superhero, don't let your boss get lynched later."
Yeah, which makes me wonder if he knew this was gonna happen. So he obviously thinks there's a reason for it to happen.
Why was he trying to preemptively prove his innocence? Because you don't need to do that. You're 105 and in a wheelchair. I fucking got it, dude.
Yeah.
We don't need you to
also,
say...
if you're just not at the scene, no one will accuse you.
Yeah. I hope there's something to that we'll see, and it wasn't just some like creepy dialogue. It's like, this sounds really cool, right? Can I lift 200 pounds? Because the implication is that like, he knew it was coming,
Right.
It could have been prevented.
Exactly. Now, you personally, do you think you could lift 200 pounds?
Oh, I know I could.
Really? I couldn't.
200? Well, you get
And
like
I
your
weigh
full
200.
legs and everything, Like an ant, you should be able to like lift your body weight. I think that's the rule, isn't it?
I think so.
Sure.
I can't.
And after the interaction, she goes into her fake little cookie store,
Yeah.
like she was describing back in the classroom, when she was
by
showing
the
the
way,
kids.
What is that bakery called?
Oh, you're going to love this. Super adorbs. It's Milk in Hanoi.
I love it.
And then she goes in there, and we get the sweet, sweet Trent Reznor, Atticus Ross music.
Yeah.
While she's gearing up. Oh, yeah. This soundtrack fucks.
Cool.
I love it.
So cool.
And there was another part of, like I was saying at the beginning, I just love that transition of she went from mom mode, which is how she was introduced.
Mm-hmm.
Super believable. Looks like a 48-year-old mom. After the gear up and the and the Trent Reznor, Atticus Ross music, she's a fucking badass.
Exactly.
And pulls away in her electric muscle car.
I love it. It's so awesome. Yeah, she turns into a total badass on that.
And I also realized at this point, like, we did the trailer breakdowns before. We've seen 80% of the trailer by this point.
By this point, yeah.
And I even I was about to text you, but I wasn't sure if you were watching live or not. It's like, we're a farmhouse showdown away from the entire trailers, which we obviously will get to later.
Yeah.
But she goes right into the Nixonville there and preemptively picks up, I guess a usual suspect.
I guess so, yeah.
She says that later. It's like, she takes initiative. She was, I knew you were going to tell me to round up the usual suspects. Here we are. It's in my trunk. So then we cut to the police meeting where they're watching the 7th Cavalry's ISIS-like video. I love the liberal tears line to get
of course.
some currency there.
They really needed that part, yeah.
And that's when, after we hear that 7th Cavalry, we thought they've been gone for a while, but apparently they're back. I don't know if he's referring to 3 years a while, if that was when the White Knight was.
I was going to say, I think that might have been the 3 years remark.
The 3 years, yeah.
I don't know if they're connected, right?
And he's going to enact Article 4 here. Article 4 of what? The Keene Act?
Ooh,
I don't know. I get
know.
Article 4 of the, whatever lets them use their guns there.
Yeah.
And, of course, our buddy old Panda comes back there. I know it wasn't like I don't know if it was the intended tone, but I thought that was fucking hilarious. The Panda, like, he knows he's going to get overturned. Right. But he's got to bring out the red tape and drag his feet there.
Oh, I love it because they're like, and he like
the whole
room. That, and he pulls out the book and everyone goes, ugh. The groaning was so perfect.
I love Panda's in the aesthetic too. It was a dirty ass like Panda head with regular clothes underneath. Exactly. He didn't even commit to a full body Panda.
Not at all.
And he cut the mouth out too. God,
Listen, if you're shorter than that guy, you can see his whole face.
It's just real lack of commitment. Probably because he works at a desk to this Panda bed.
Yeah.
It's not, I don't see how it's regulation mask wearing.
I don't know. It does not fit anywhere.
But I'm sure if someone busts his balls, he'll pull out some, some loophole where he can get away with this shit.
He has an article ready on that.
And then, so after we finish up the meeting, also about the meeting, I noticed whenever the police chief is trying to overturn Panda's objection, he asked the white masks, Looking Glass and Red Scare, if they feel threatened. I don't know if because I know the racial tensions, especially because this is attack from the 7th Cavalry, which in their video stated, super racist.
Yeah, super.
If they felt threatened, and they did, they complied, and all right, we're Article 4, weapons free.
Yeah.
And we go to the police chief's office here. Judd Crawford. I know we put a lot of stake into the Don Johnson is Night Owl theory.
I mean, a lot.
He serves the coffee in the Night Owl.
We spent 2 hours assuming, like on record, assuming that he was Night Owl.
Night Owl mugs. He has Under the Hood on his desk, which was the book written by the Hollis Mason, the first Night Owl.
Which I remember when I saw online that was
when you saw online a tweet
only to find out it was on our Twitter that I saw this.
It's a good source of info.
Yep, RJ Watchmen Pod. You can find it. And wait, that book is, sorry, what is that book again?
It's Under the Hood. It's the history of the Minutemen, which is written by the first Night Owl. There's been 2 Night Owls. There's Night Owl 1, Hollis Mason, and there's Night Owl 2, Dan Dierberg, who was one of the main 4 or 5 characters from the Watchmen, the original novel.
Okay. Huh, interesting.
So there's kind of the Minutemen of the 1940s. For a couple decades they ran.
Which
and then we'll see them in the American Crime Story.
Yeah.
And then there were the Watchmen with the main core group being Night Owl 2, Silk Spectre 2, Dr. Manhattan, the Comedian briefly, Rorschach, and Ozymandias.
Huh.
That was their crew.
Cool.
Hope I didn't leave anybody out there.
Yeah. So then in this dialogue between them, kind of, setting up that she was mad at him and that maybe
it's real friendly banter.
Friends and we find out they're friends basically.
Yeah, it really sells that relationship.
Yeah.
She likes
and that's where the babysitter.
We learn why those two seats were empty there.
Yeah. So anyway, then she goes, "Hey, I have a man in my trunk."
And they go right into get him in the pod there.
That's right.
And this is where Looking Glass comes in.
Oh,
this is So Looking Glass's specialty is interrogations. He's like his own Rorschach lie detector test.
Yeah.
All in one.
Well, and also like when the images were reflecting off of his mask, it was
so
very
good.
Rorschach-like. It was incredible.
Yeah, there were some actual like Rorschach images on there. There's some really cool. We saw like Nixon's head on Mount Rushmore.
On Mount Rushmore. I was gonna say that. Yeah.
And then the questions that he asked again, we had the sweet music drop there again, just like the gearing up scene. While he was in the questions he asked, something about do you believe the interdimensional space attacks, he was obviously referring to the squid attacks, was a hoax. And behind him, they showed 9/11.
Oh, yeah.
So I kind of like this. They're painting the picture that the 7th Cavalry is like 9/11 truthers, but in this case, they're right about that. It was
Yeah. Well, and it was also interesting because it seemed like the images were in response to the question he was asking, but one ahead.
Yeah.
Like, because he was like asking about breakfast, and then on his next question, they put up like a little
like
kid
the little
with
milk and
like cereal or whatever. And so I was like, what exactly is happening here? But it was a beautiful scene, incredible.
And they just let him. They don't like reveal like good or bad or anything. Just like let him out there, and then Looking Glass let him know. It's like, oh yeah, he's fucking dirty. What was the line that Sister Knight used before? It was like, I have a nose for white supremacy, and this guy smells like bleach.
Yes.
Cool line. And then so that's confirmed after the sweet, sweet Looking Glass scene here. And Sister Knight decides to take things.
Bad cops.
Yeah, it was a very good cop, bad cop. Like she starts with the apology and then just jerks him right into the bathroom right there. And then we see the urine and blood or water come underneath the door, which is a obvious callback to when Rorschach escaped the prison.
I don't know.
Okay, image right there.
I'm gonna believe you.
Yeah, and we go straight there, and like we said, we're a cattle ranch showdown away from all of our trailers, and we go right into that. Like this is very like breakneck speed, like right into clear through line while they're just dumping like mythology and exposition as they go.
Time.
It's like we'll explain it later. I love that.
Well, and as someone that doesn't know anything, I was like, there is so much that has to be answered at some point here.
Yeah, I love that how they just kind of shoot just above the viewer's head. Like it's out there. A lot of TV shows have done that lately where it's like you can enjoy this on its value, but there's also like a whole nother layer that you want to go. Like, you can watch Game of Thrones just fine and enjoy the boobs and dragons. Or you can know like, hey, that guy behind Ned Stark, he's always behind him. That's Jory Castle. When he gets stabbed later in the eye, you'll notice the guy that's hanging out with the other girls gets really super angry. They never mention him, but that's his dad. You can read into that. You can watch True Detective season 1 and be like, that's awesome. Or you can also like read up on your Yellow King theories. There's like 2 different layers that you can go,
of course,
and enjoy it. And that's what I think we're getting here. I hope they don't get too into it where like they're playing a chess game with Reddit, kind of like what Westworld does. I hope they keep it on pace and things will get explained later.
Yeah.
But like right after this, we go straight into the cattle ranch shootout. Again, awesome. This is where we get our big action of the episode.
Oh, yeah.
They pull up, we're sneaking in, tension building onto the cattle ranch showdown, as we've seen from the previews. And then we get a look into the farmhouse there, and they're taking apart watches.
Yeah, we
learn later that it was their old watches for their batteries. They were banned because they caused people to get sick. Yeah. Judd Crawford jokingly says oh, they're making a cancer bomb. I felt like he was joking, but who knows what they were doing?
Yeah,
and what they were sending it to. We also see one of the guys that was disassembling the watches, and the guy that sees the perimeter alert that someone's on their land there is wearing the hat of the guy that was pulled over earlier. So that's obviously him. None of the other Rorschachs of 7th Cavalry are wearing hats on top of their masks.
Yeah.
But this guy, thanks for wearing that hat, so we know who you are.
Thank God.
Like, oh, that guy's here.
That's his thing.
Yeah, he never takes the hat off.
He loves
so we
the
could
hat.
identify him later.
Oh yeah, and then the technology in there was all like very.
Yeah, we see it from like on the inside of their compound. It's all like super retro tech.
Yeah, retro.
And then later, we see Judd Crawford and Pirate Jenny are in the cockpit of an Archie with the super retro tech. I was also disappointed to learn there's several Archies, so that's not the Archie. It's just
we were very excited.
Things that's been reappropriated for like other police forces.
Gotcha.
So maybe we'll get another one since they crashed this one.
Yeah. Which was a really cool kind of flying around scene.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, once they catch one of them.
What's that?
Once they catch one of these guys, the Rorschach, the 7th Cavalry, the popping pills.
They take this. He takes the cyanide pills, which it's another callback to the comics there when Ozymandias' attacker, the hitman that was hired to take Ozymandias out, took a cyanide pill once his assassination attempt went wrong.
Right. Yeah.
So,
okay.
I don't know.
Who knows?
Is that a subtle nod that perhaps Ozymandias has a hand in on this? I don't know.
I don't know because he's
irresponsible
a suspicious guy.
Yeah.
And then so now we go into the whole air fight.
Yeah, the air
that goes very well for everyone.
So Sister Knight busts in after they shoot all the fuck out of the cows. They do not care. I don't know why they're salvaging these batteries. Those cows,
forgot.
You get a solid $1,000 per cattle there. We just blew that all up.
As I say, I completely forgot. Like my mind blocked out the just chunks of cow being blown out of them.
And then they were used for cover.
Yeah.
And then finally we see, so like Pirate Jenny, I guess, is like the pilot of the group. And she's up there with Don Johnson, and we have Red Scare and Sister Knight on the ground floor with a bunch of other red shirts.
Yes.
That we don't care about or ever learn about, and they're probably just all died there, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Now the big shootout, which leads to Sister Knight cornering the fella that killed the cop in the opening of the show, and they wrestle around. Awesome fight scene, by the way, and that 48-year-old woman.
Oh, yeah.
It was a kick-ass fight scene in there. And after she, gets him down, and she obviously gets the upper hand. He pops the cyanide pill. So we've lost our lead there.
Right. Yeah.
She looks up, and there's a little pamphlet framed on the wall of Dollar Bill, one of the original Minutemen, nabbing an African-American child.
First of all, best name for a superhero ever.
Dollar Bill?
Yeah.
I think he patrolled banks. Like, he was a security guard that were like, we just don't want regular security. Get him a fucking costume.
Get him a cape.
And people will think we got a superhero protecting us. God. That was his gimmick.
Dollar Bill.
Yeah.
So good.
He's having it's super racist ad from back in the day that she kind of looks at.
Speaking of racist ads, do you want to take a quick ad break?
Okay.
And then we'll get to the end of the episode here.
Hopefully ours aren't as racist.
To clarify, not racist.
Okay.
But let's take a quick break, listen to the ad, and we'll be right back with the rest of the breakdown, deep dive, and what's to come.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Sweet roll there. And then Dr. Manhattan's finger. We don't, well, a blue finger.
A blue finger.
He could be part of Blue Man Group. They could
That's
be
true.
banging on some PVC pipes.
And they're like, hold on.
Yeah, that could have been the finger.
Here's our finger.
Or
Yeah.
just another Dr. Manhattan
Yeah.
tease.
Okay, so that's our weeks ahead breakdown. We'll see.
Yeah. So what do you
happening
think,
with all
man?
that. Oh, I love this so far.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what happens. They drew me in. They had enough stuff that they didn't explain that I was like, well, now I have to keep watching if I want to even understand
It
half
moves
of this.
so
stuff.
quick. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know I've heard in interviews that kind of Lindelof is going to play just like he did in like Lost and Leftovers with the themes of like the story changes by who's telling it.
Right.
And so we're going to switch around perspectives a little bit. I know like in Lost, like every episode like had a different person's perspective and backstory.
Flashback, yeah.
They say they're going to kind of do that. I believe like the first 3 episodes are Sister Night, then episode 4 we might get a bottle episode.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. So I'm excited about that.
I've always loved how he does this stuff.
Yeah.
As dumb as
Especially
Lost was, I loved it for these reasons.
As controversial as this is to like see both sides of that, like I said about the 7th Kalvary, you know, they're obviously horrible racist terrorists who are reappropriating Rorschach's journal and the words that they found in there because they quoted it. But also they were right about the conspiracy theory about the squid thing. Like so there's kind of a
Yeah, I'm interested to see how they play
things
that.
from their side, learn more about Looking Glass and his past, and learn some other things like what's going on with Ozymandias. I kind of hope they play that out for a little bit because he's just doing fucking random shit in there. And he's building a catapult at one point in like one of the previews. Yeah. So I'm really excited to see how that goes. And like, where is he? When is he?
That's a good question.
Because I see some
that
other
is something
shots.
they would pull on.
Yeah,
us.
he looks like he's in a prison in some of the previews.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So we want to know, when and where is he?
Yeah.
Because that's a good question.
We get some more. I think we're gonna get some election stuff with Joe Keane running for president.
I would love that. That'll be great.
And we gotta get a White Knight episode too.
I was about to say that would. I could see that being, like you said, like episode 4 might be like a bottle episode, maybe something like that. That might be what it is.
Yeah.
It's actually just a
what happened
flashback
on
to
the White Knight. Yeah.
And then we meet some characters that are only there really for the one episode. We can see Don Johnson again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And see, we get that.
We can see if he actually is secretly knocked out. I want my owl man.
Just putting away my owl goggles here. I'm not a night owl though. But yeah, and I think something's going on.
And they're like, "You're not." What? And he's like, "Who?"
I never even heard of him.
I knew it. He said who.
But there's lots of stuff to look forward here. We haven't even got to. I think Ozymandias is the only original character introduced that we've seen so far.
That's true. Because we haven't technically seen Dr. Manhattan.
No, and we saw a clip of him on a stream. Yeah,
he hasn't been introduced.
That's not introduced. Yeah.
Right. Huh.
Although all the themes are there.
Yeah.
The blood drop on the badge there is obviously showing us that Judd Crawford is kind of the comedian of the show. So like that's kind of a theme. Like whereas the comedian died at the very beginning of the book, but he still played a major role. Lots of flashbacks and showing him later. So I think that's what we're gonna get out of Judd Crawford here.
Well, I like that.
And I think something's going on with Looking Glass Pass and these FBI agents that are going to be coming in here.
I'm excited to get into Looking Glass.
Yeah. I think he's got a cool backstory.
Character I've ever seen. So, and we saw 2 minutes of him.
Oh, yeah.
That's it. I have no theories because I don't know what the fuck's happening. Now I understand this episode. The next one, not so much.
Yeah, but that was our first episode, man. I really loved it. I'm excited to go back again.
Yeah. So I have something that I would love to play, which is, and we'll see if our listeners would want to tweet this in or email this to us. What would your excuse be if you were a police officer? What would you tell people you were really doing instead of being a police officer? Because he was going to night school for engineering, according to all of his friends.
That's a very vague one, too.
Which is very vague. Yeah. So tweet that at us, because that'll be awesome. We'll put a tweet out to ask you guys.
Stand-up comedian's a good cover, too. It's
I would 100% do stand-up comedian.
Got a gig in Tuscaloosa.
I got an open mic. And that's a good thing, is because as a stand-up comedian, I can tell you, no one comes to your shows, so no one will ever know.
Yeah, that's how you're going to fucking go.
Oh, and where can they tweet us at?
Oh, RJ Watchmen Pod.
Yeah, and our email there is rjwatchmanpodcast@gmail.com.
Really should have synced those up better, but that's on us.
I created the email and you created the Twitter.
Yeah.
We were close.
Well, now they only let me have 15 characters on the Twitter.
Oh, is that the gimmick?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think about going pod. I should have.
No, that's okay.
Make
But
it concise.
if you go to our Twitter, it'll have the email there. So
Yeah.
you're good.
Yeah, and like I said, we're both used to live performance, so this is a little weird speaking into the microphone and not hearing your reaction.
I know.
So get at us and let us know what you're
let us
thinking
know.
and feeling.
Leave reviews on whatever app you're listening to this to. If you want to go to the SoundsTooth app, download that. You can listen to us there as well. And we'll actually set up community boards on the SoundsTooth app for this podcast. So yeah. So if you have the app and you want to get involved there too, we can talk to you directly. Sound good?
Sounds good.
That's it for me.
Yeah, see you next week. That's it for me.
I can't wait for the next one. Goodbye. Bye. Do you think I could lift 200 pounds?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's the rule. Is like you can lift your own body weight.
Yeah. I just thought that was a nice little outro. As the music's fading in. You think I could lift 200 pounds?
Yeah, throw in our outtakes.
Oh, yeah. What the hell is this called? Episode 1 breakdown.
Are you gonna stay up till 5 a.m. editing this?
Oh, it won't take that long.
Sorry, I got my.
This one
one
sounded good enough. I don't have to
late at night, and I'm worried about it in stand-up. Like my jaw gives out.
I don't know. That's weird.
Yeah.
There's got to be some kind of tension releaser thing or something you can do.
I think it's also because sinus pressure,
Oh, especially this time of year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was super paranoid. I was
my jaw always hurts.
I've had it my entire life, but I'm worried it's an age thing. It's like I'm gonna have to quit stand-up.